It's a spiritual if you turn.
What? One bowler hat farmer, I was going to steal some of his thunder because of talking about the NFU, but I'm going to let him do it himself. Mark, over to you.
Liz, thank you very much. It's nice to see everybody here. Now, as a lot of you will know, on the 19th of November, there is an alleged march to Westminster by the farmers. And the NFU yesterday backed down to divide the farmers, for no other reason, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what the result was from the poll earlier, but if I was a gambling man, I'd say we're still going to London. I don't think the NFU has farmers' best interests at heart. I don't think the NFU has any power to tell me as a farmer I can't be there. And they booked a room for 1,800 people, and I'll guarantee that most of those seats went to people that they want in the room prior to the meeting being held, so that they could keep people like me with a big mouth out. Okay, so I'm the doom and gloom person on Facebook who always talks about food shortages. And the reason I talk about it, and Cassie, I don't know where she's gone, but I just pick up on something Cassie said. We allegedly, and I do state that, allegedly grow 60% of all the food that we need in the UK. So is it fair that most people in the room like 3 meals a day? Yeah? No, somebody said? Okay, so if you like 3 meals a day, get used to not having it. Okay, and I state that categorically. And here's why. It's actually 38% of the food in the UK we produce. 60% was 2 years ago. The government don't update their figures very often deliberately, because they don't want you, as the public and the consumer, to know just how short we are of food. Now, that is dropping at an alarming rate, how much we produce, and that's been done deliberately. How are they achieving that? Because when I first got shown the 2030 agenda, I was only 21 years old. And I'm 56 now, so this is going on some time. And I always thought to myself, there's no way they're going to, WEF will ever pull this off. Because farmers, as I know, want to do something. They want to either grow or produce something. They want to rear an animal. They're never going to stop farmers producing meat. They're never going to stop farmers producing grain. Here's the problem. They knew that as well. So they came up with lots and lots of money, printed, you know, that free stuff that you just generate from nowhere and causes inflation. They created loads of it, piled it into the coffers of DEFRA, and DEFRA came up with these fantastic ideas where they would just pay farmers to grow pretty flowers. Okay? They'll pay farmers a fortune to have solar farms on there. And the farmers take it because it's so profitable. Why do they take it? And everyone says, yeah, but why do farmers get out of farming? Because farmers work 100 hours a week and don't sod him will earn any money. Why don't they earn any money? Because the supermarkets control the food supply. It's nothing to do with farmers not doing the work. It's nothing to do with food not being worth the money. See, what happened was, cleverly, in the 70s, when farmers used to get subsidies, the farmer could then keep the price of food down. That was the idea. The subsidy was given to the farmer to force the price of food down. Now, what the supermarkets very cleverly did was force the price of food up while pushing the price for the farmer down, therefore stealing the majority of the subsidy. And when people say, oh, the farmers had all these subsidies, no, they didn't. I can absolutely assure you most of that ended up somehow in the back pocket of certain establishments. Now, while we're on the conversation of establishments, I'm going to talk about one that got me into trouble a little while ago. And I blame this guy over here. Richard, we'd got an event going on at the farm, and has anyone ever heard of a thing called electroculture? Okay, well, it's a myth. Right, so we'll come back to it. But if there was a thing called energetic farming, you might know what I mean in the future. Okay, so Richard came down because we were running an event at the weekend at the farm, and Richard came down and kindly did an interview with me about our little farm shop we've created. Because the farm which I live on, we have an area which we've put down to the public food provision. And we launched a little shop, and we're now doing a food hub as a result and encouraging other farmers to get involved. Well, Richard and I were doing an interview, and I flippantly said about washing vegetables. Now, I don't know if you know the term, but washing vegetables isn't where you take them and put them under a tap. This is when they come into the country from overseas. They slid into a wholesalers who drop them at a farm. The farmer washes them, literally, and packages them under Red Tractor. Now, I can absolutely assure you it doesn't happen, because Red Tractor have told me on all authority that can't happen. So I did an apology statement, and with it I asked one question. Was there anybody who worked in a pack house, worked on a farm, or knew of anywhere like this that things like this happened, so that we could report it to Red Tractor? Well, I had 22 messages, some from hauliers and different things, and we reported it all in, and Red Tractor are looking into those things. Now, we have to call all this bullshit out. That's the bottom line, right? I knew it was going on because I happened to be at a farm in Norfolk, a 10,000 acre estate where they grow massive amounts of veg for supermarkets. And as a result of the supermarket demand, one farm was importing red onions from their farm in Egypt. They were coming into Ipswich Dock, being unloaded onto trunkers, coming into this place, not too far from where the guys at the back of the room who looked at the town council live, right? And it was coming in, and they were packaging them out and sending them out. And I called Red Tractor out on this, and they said that cannot happen. Isn't that interesting? So obviously my eyes deceived me. But anyway, that aside. So I'm going to put three things to you. One, is there anybody in the room who could afford to buy a carrier bag full of food and not worry about it? Show of hands. Could you buy a carrier bag full of food that doesn't matter to your household? Okay. If you can, I suggest you do something. Take it to your local food bank. Because I guarantee you, and I guarantee there's going to be some massive food shortages. Why do I think that? Well, it's like this. I know you all believe when you go to supermarkets, as my daughter told me during a pandemic, Dad, they've got loads of food. Yeah, but it's going to run out, darling. No, don't worry, Dad, I've got it covered. She rang me about 2 weeks later and said, have you got any food I can have? Now, everyone knows it rained in Spain a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, we all know about that, and it rained in California prior to that. Okay, I know that Andrew said it's coincidence. It's also a coincidence that 32% of our food in the UK is grown in that area. Now, if you haven't realised yet that we're going to have food shortages and you need to stock up, and I've been saying to people, stock up for the last 3 years, stock up, stock up, stock up. If you still think you're going to go to supermarkets and get food, you're delusional. Absolutely delusional. So one, if you can afford to take a bag full of food to the food bank, take it. If you can afford to stock yourself up with food, for goodness sake, stock up. Thirdly is this. Lots of people have spoken today about democratisation. If there's one thing you want to do to really, really kick back at the system is produce your own food. They absolutely hate it, and they're going to hate it even more in the coming months. The attack on Spain was the first section in this. The farmers are going to fall out of bed really quickly in the forthcoming months. I absolutely guarantee this. Now, on the 19th of November, if you have any plans at all, I suggest you get to Westminster. And the reason I say this is because you're not standing up for the farmers, you're standing up for your right to eat. Okay? I lived out of a food bank for a short while, and it's not a nice place to be, right? And it's going to be a damn sight worse when there's millions of people need it and there's no food there. So please support the food banks and please support the farmers. Thanks, guys.